Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Okay, so I'm going to do this one again because, again, I have lots of stories in my storybooks of horrors, I guess. But back in 2019, we got custody of my nephews. Me and my older kids lived in a little 2-bedroom apartment, which back then for us was perfect. It was fine, right? But going from 3 kids to 5 kids, we definitely had to find a bigger house. So we moved into this house that was great. Had really large bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, which was great because at that time we only had 1 bathroom. It was great. Walking distance to the kids' school and a park. But when we moved in, things took a turn for the worse. My brother ended up taking his life about, I'd say, 2 weeks after we moved in. And we just started noticing bad feelings. My older son and one of my adopted sons would say that they kept seeing like this really super tall, like really tall shadow man. And even at night, like when they were downstairs playing video games and all the lights were out, like it was blacker than the blackness on the walls, they would say, like blacker than night. And he was super tall. And so that would just freak them out and scare them. We also had a friend of mine who's a medium. She came in to help me kind of talk to my brother and figure things out because I just needed to know what happened. And she said, "Hey, I'm picking up on 2 other spirits here. Or, excuse me, 3 other spirits. 3 other spirits besides your brother. One was a little boy who just randomly was there. No one knew why or where. He wasn't a threat. He wasn't anything. Another was, we called him the Angry Man. He was the biggest influence in that house, I think. But he was an older gentleman from somewhere in the neighborhood who had passed away and was just angry. Did not want to move on. Just wanted to stay here. For some reason in our house. Who knows why. And in that house, like he would, again, we couldn't have pictures on the wall. We tried. There was a picture on the wall that one night we heard footsteps in the hallway and like heavy walking, almost running in the hallway. And we came out of our bedrooms, me and my son Aiden, and all of a sudden one of the pictures flew off the wall and just shattered everywhere, right in front of our eyes. Mind you, this is upstairs, so there's no windows in the hallway, there's no anything. Everyone's doors were shut. Like, nothing could have smashed this picture off the wall. He also was very responsible for the feelings that we got in the house, especially me. It affected me because I know I was under a lot of stress, and so I'm sure that he was just sucking and feeding off of me and my stress during that time. But whenever we were at the house, like I would just feel angry, irritable, sad, just super depressed. Mind you, after a couple months even of things passing through. And whenever I would leave the house, even if it was just to go to the grocery store, everything would be lifted. And then when we'd get back home and I'd pull into the garage, instantaneously, just that heavy, just yucky feeling that I would have. My grandma was the third spirit, or the other spirit there. She said that my closet was a portal, and so spirits would just kind of come in and out of my bedroom closet, which was fine. I told her, that's fine. You can stay as long as you want. Ryan can stay as long as he wants. But everybody else got to go. Like, we didn't want anybody else there. And it got really bad to the point where Department of Human Services was coming over to our house, I think 2 times a month during that time frame, because they had to check on the boys, they had to check on me, everything that was going on with my brother and sister-in-law at that time. And I remember our caseworker finally came over. This was like, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 months after we moved in. And we were sitting at the table going over things, talking about the possibility of adoption and trying to move in that direction, which is what we wanted ultimately. And she kept looking up at the stairs. And this was in broad daylight, mind you. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Uh-huh." And we all of a sudden kept hearing running upstairs. My 3 older kids were not at home, and the 2 boys were downstairs because they have to be. She has to look in, make sure they're okay. So they were downstairs. There was no one upstairs at all. And she was like, "Have you ever thought of moving?" And I was like, "No." And I have never talked to her about what I see, what I feel, what I hear. She doesn't know any of that. And she was like, "Okay." She was like, "I don't want to freak you out." She's like, "But I keep seeing, every time I come over here, I keep seeing a really tall shadow figure, like peeking over the banister." And she was like, "Now that I'm hearing running," and she's like, I never feel good when I come over here. I never feel comfortable and I feel scared." And she was like, "I think we're going to help you move, is my request. I'm going to put it in our file. We're going to get some funds for you and we're going to move you out of here." So, per the request of the state, we had to move because of our ghosties in that house, which was very interesting. They didn't follow us over there. They all 3, I'm assuming, stayed over there as well. But yeah, that was just another story of ours that's interesting. So